Good morning, everyone. I just finished doing my morning routine. I wake up. As soon as God says, wake up, Anna, I wake up and I go straight to my altar and I burn my incense and I spray myself with Essencia. For those of you from Colombia, you guys know what that is. For those of you who don't know what Essencia is an amazing water, cleansing water. It actually re-energizes your body. It's made with herbs from the different parts of Colombia and the Amazon. So I spray myself with it. I take my deep breath while I'm burning my incense, and then I ask. I said, God, I'm here. How will you have me serve today? That's how I start my morning. And then I drink my tea. This one is a specialty I make for my mornings. Anyway, so I didn't know that I was going to record today. I always get this thing that when I go take a shower, anytime I'm around water, I always get like this flood of information that comes through and I'm like, okay, I guess I'm supposed to deliver this message. So today the message is for what I took from this is like it is for professionals, like people who are in the industry of like psychotherapy, psychologists, clinical psychologists, therapists, even psychiatrists, anyone that is working with the human mind, anyone who has a career in guiding other human beings into their healing, emotional healing. This message is for you. Well, it can be for everyone because you can apply the message to anyone. Like I said, nothing is a coincidence. So if you bump into this message, this video, then it's for you too, because otherwise you will have never found it. You see, nothing in life is coincidence. So this is the message. Let me tune in because I have to tune in order to receive the information directly from there. I don't want to paraphrase. I want to receive it just like it came. So then that way you can receive the energy as well. Okay. So let me get in. Okay. The human body is a work of art. The designer that created the human body designed it perfectly to orchestrate exactly what that body was here to do. Well, the brain is part of the human body and it's our machine, our computer. So since the brain is like a computer, you have to treat every human being like a computer. Okay? So not every single one of the computers are the same. So due to that, you have to adjust your practice to fit the individual. Like, you went to school for this, you've been trained, you've been programmed to do it in a specific way. However, what this time is asking of you for your evolution of the new human evolution of where we're going, where we're being asked to go, it's like you have to integrate a spiritual practice into this scientific practice, which science is spirituality. Science is like the thief. They stole the information for spirituality and then they call it science, but it's the same thing. It's just expressed differently. So they want you to combine the two. Yes. Hold on, I'm feeling the energy is coming through stronger. They want you to combine the two of them. Science and spirituality. So what you learn in school, for those of you who have gone to school for this, psychology, like myself, now you have to integrate spirituality to it. And what spirituality is, for a lot of you that are a little not sure about what spirituality is not religion. It is not religious, although they can intertwine, kind of like your cells, they can intertwine, but each of them is an individual self. So in spirituality, what we do is like we pay attention to the flow of nature. We learn from nature. We look at nature as our teacher. What nature does impacts us as well. And what nature does is actually a manifestation in another form of what the human body is already doing for itself. So they want you to invest more time in yourself. Like you have been investing a lot of time in your patients, they want you to take the time to go within yourself and look within you and see how and what is it that is within yourself that wants to be birthed into this new era. The old ways of treating your patients are not working. These patients are not getting healed. They're overly medicated, especially here in the Western world. You are overly medicating your patients. So they want you to return all this energy that you have been taught in school. Use the fundamental of it, the understanding of how human behavior works, how the brains collect information, how humans learn. Like those are great things to know because those are based on observation. However, now you need to integrate another practice, which is the spiritual part of the human self, which is the non-physical self. In the non-physical self, there's many versions of the human, right? Of that one person. Let's say you have a patient that has depression, right? Well, if you go by the book is going to tell you the diagnosis is depression. And then perhaps in America, they're going to tell you give them medication, right? For those of you who are holistic, you're going to say, well, I don't want to give them medication. Well, for those of you, you need to go deeper. You need to go deeper in understanding what is depression. Depression, the word is saying it. You are depressing. You are descending from the ascension of consciousness. So that human being that is in front of you, that patient, is having a difficulty understanding how to connect with itself and balance an inner self. It's understanding of what it is here to do. So this human is lost. That human is not connecting with themselves. They're disconnected. They're disconnected from their identity. They're disconnected from themselves. So when a person disconnects from themselves, they descend because they're not living in a conscious state of mind, you see? So they want you to understand that a human has a body, right? However, in this body, many versions of that human exist. So for example, a 1-year-old version, a 2-year-old version, a 10, a 12, a 13, 14, 15, you get the point. There's many versions of that one human being in front of you. You're looking at the flesh, but beyond the flesh, there's many versions of this human being. They want you to pay more attention to that. Excuse me. They want you to understand that you're not treating one only. You're treating many versions of that human. So let's continue with the depressive patient, right? So based on my experience of depression, when I felt depressed, it was when I felt like I somehow failed myself. I felt depressed when I saw my life and I saw how I literally gave up my life for others. Meaning I allow others to dictate to me what my life was going to be. And when I found myself in the middle of nowhere, that's what it feels in the brain. It feels like you're left alone and there's no one around you to help you, to guide you. So when someone is in that state of being, right, you call it depression, what you need to do is that you need to go deeper into this human being story, because there is many versions of this human playing all at once in this present moment. However, you are in the present moment, but the present moment is mixed with the past as well. Why? Because that human being is activating past traumas, past histories that is actually what's creating the thought, right, of being lost, of being alone, of not being good enough, of not achieving success in life. And that is what's causing the descension, which is depression. So the new era of professional psychotherapists, psychologists, psychiatrists, you being called by the ancestors that you need to integrate the spiritual body in your practice in order to help your patient in your practice, in order to be able to really heal them at the root cause of the problem. They want you to go deeper. You're staying in the superficial, and humans are not superficial. We are so many layers. We're layered and layered and layered and layered. If you want, you can look at biology. In biology, you have like this one, what we're going to call it the atom, right? We're made out of atoms. And then within the atoms, there's this nuclei, right? They're small versions of the atoms, right? Well, the same applied to us. The same thing that our biology does, we, the self, the human being, what in Kabbalah is called Malhut, the physical manifested self, also has many layers. You being asked to go deeper into those layers in order to find the root cause of why your patients are suffering with what they're suffering. And to remember that the entire suffering is happening because of the way that patient is processing the information that the environment is feeding the patient. So we're literally walking algorithm. They want you to understand that. You're not dealing with just a piece of flesh. We are way more than just the flesh. Before we were the flesh, we were not the flesh. So all of that has recorded information that you're being asked to go deeper into that. So they want you to reach into spirituality, traditional spirituality. It has nothing to do with religion. Like I said in the beginning, is everything to do with studying the nature of humanity and understanding that the brain learns from its environment. So not every single one human that is going to come, that's coming to your practice, is going to be needing the same treatment, okay? So that's why medications don't work. Medications are actually doing a disservice to your patients and to you. Why? Because when you medicate a patient, what you're doing is you're numbing. You're going to the brain, to the area, right? The central nervous system. And you're going to the central nervous system and you're telling the central nervous system, I want you to put to sleep that feeling. And yes, your patient is like, oh yeah, this medication is working, but in reality, it's not. What's happening is that it's going to get worse. So you're going to have to up on your dose. And you know what that comes with? It comes with addiction. So now you create another problem on top of the problem that came to you. So you being asked to change the practice, evolve. That's the word. It's not really changing it. It's more like evolving, because the way that it was done before, it's not working. As you can see, the rates of suicide is up, depression is up, anxiety is up. And then all of that mental instability is causing physical illness. So now that goes into the doctors, the medical field. So now you have more people with other illnesses that many doctors can't put a finger on. So all of this is being created by the mind. And how? Well, the mind's way, right? The brain way to read the environment, because we are literally created by the environment. In psychology, they teach you, there's always like this debate whether it is nature or nurture. I was with them, when I was receiving this message, I was asking the questions like, okay, nurture versus nature. And as I was looking at it, and it's like, no, it's both, it's both. One responds to the other. They're like feeding each other. And if you take a look at nature, that's how nature behaves as well. Nature feeds itself with itself. So that's what's happening within the nature, right? Us, nature, how we're born. And then the nurture, which is what's given to us in our environment. Those two are they're working together to create that one human being. Take a look at this, like within family members, you can have, let's take a look at a family that has 2 children. Those 2 children will grow to be completely different. How come? If the nurture, right, the nurture is the same. Theoretically, it is the same, but it's not. Because, for example, everything in that nurture outside the environment has continually shifted with time. For example, look at now they have, what is it, Gen X? I don't know how many generations number there is. I don't follow through. But like, for example, I'm considered a millennial, right? So a millennial, the way we were brought up, at least for me, I was playing outside. I was out there climbing trees, going on roof of the houses, jumping. I was fearless. I used to get cuts, but it was okay. Now, you take my environment, it's completely different than a child now in 2025 that is being brought up in the living room playing video games or on the phone on TikTok, you see? So those two brains, those two environments are different. The two brains are different. So although we are being raised in the same household, we're going to react different. Our brain is going to have different information. I like to compare with technology, like an iPhone. When it first started, when Steve Jobs created the iPhone, right? It was like, what, iPhone 3? So that iPhone 3 is a 3 generation. iPhone 3 generation is completely different than the new generation now. So you need to see how even in technology is expressing to us the reality of humanity and how we learn. So we have evolved. Our brain is asking for us to evolve. So that's why this field, the psychologist and the therapist, psychotherapist, my people, because I love this. This is what I went to school for, because I really, really wanted to understand human behavior. Back then, I was 13 when I decided that I was going to do this. Back then, I thought I was going to go to Africa and save the people in Africa, this stuff, you dream. So when I decided to do that, I was very, very obsessed with like serial killers. I wanted to find out like what makes a serial killer, right? So I studied. Back then it was Charles Manson. I wanted to know like why he behaved the way he did. So that's where my obsession of human behavior came to be. I was 13. So I didn't have to, I didn't wait to be 18 to go to psychology school. I started at that age because I was intrigued with it. And what I learned, it was that human beings learn from what they're being exposed to, which that's crazy, right? Because if you see the state of the world, what are we being fed with? So this is where your career, your field is going to make a huge, huge change, a huge shift in this evolution of the human mind. And they want you to go in, not be afraid. So the fact that I'm giving you this message is because there's many of you who are in this field who are thinking about this. Like, what is it that this time is asking of you? What are you being asked to do? How can you be a solution to the problem that we're seeing today where, like I said, depression is skyrocket, anxiety, so many people with anxiety that they're stopping themselves from living because they are just afraid. They're consumed with their fears. So I think this message is beautiful because I was not expecting it. Like I said, I was not going to record this morning, but it came when I was in the bathroom and I'm like, okay, let me get out of here. I need to record this. I need to give this message to my people. So here it is, explore outside of the classroom, because remember that life itself is the classroom, right? Let's take it back to ancient time, for example. During ancient time, there was no school, Let's say Socrates, right? When Socrates was learning, where he went? Let me see if I remember. Aristotle? He was learning from someone else that was already doing it. That's how people learned. Now is when we have to go in a classroom, and obviously we are learning from somebody that has learned, but that person has learned through a book, not by actual living it, living the philosophy of it. So they want you to live it. They want you to be it. So in order for you to do that, for example, I know a lot of you, you're human. Obviously, you're human. So based on what's happening around, I can tell that you too are going through your own, life experiences that you too are trying to figure them out. So why don't you take this and do it with yourself? Try it on yourself. Go deep within your own sufferings and your own upbringing and your own teachings that you have learned, and evaluate yourself and see how how your theory applies to you and if it has helped you. And you're going to see that there's holes. There's, I call it open holes. Why? Because that means that if the hole is open, then it needs to be filled. What is it going to be filled with? So that's how I find the loops in life when things are not properly assigned. So take this message and just sit with it. Sit with this message. It's very important for you and also for the people that are going to come to your practice to be able to get help, because they are in need of help. And remember that many of them don't even want to talk about it, because in this society we have been domesticated, right? Domesticated, groomed to be ashamed of the things we do, to be ashamed of our past, to be ashamed of our stories. You know, so you are dealing with that. People that feel ashamed, guilty, resentful, angry, and all of that emotions, they create physical, it manifests into the physical body. So it leads into other illnesses. It goes from the mind into the body. So then your patients, right? Your patients are going to end up being a patient of a doctor. Another doctor, medical doctors. And your message is that you need to evolve. The time is asking to evolve. This is a new era. So thank you. Thank you for taking the time to listen to me. I don't want this video to be long. I just need to give you the main points. And hopefully, I know that, not hopefully, they will come back. I will receive more information and guidance so that I can give you the heads up on how to help your patient, deeper. You need to stay away from the surface, and you need to dig, baby, dig. Dig, baby, dig. Dig, baby, dig. You have to dig, dig, dig. That's what we've been asking. We've been asking for that. So now you're being asked to step into that role. You need to dig deeper and integrate spirituality into your practice, which is the study of nature and how it relates to us human beings, since we're nature ourselves. So you need to join those two worlds together, like the helix in your DNA. You need to join them together. You are being separated by the truth of who you truly are, and because of that, you're only getting to the surface of your patients, and that's why you prescribe them medication. Okay? That doesn't mean like giving the medication is completely wrong. It's just that you need to understand when the medication should come in and how to integrate the medication with actual healing, because the medication can just numb the patient and is also numbing you, and they want you to stay away from that. They want you to dig deeper. Go to the bottom of the ocean. If you know what that means, water in spirituality signifies emotion. So they want you to dive in, go to the bottom and find out what's the root cause of the emotions that your patients are walking into your practice with. And like that, you're going to be able to help them without using medication. You know who's going to be the medication? It's going to be you. You're the medicine. That's why in spirituality, we call ourselves medicine women. Other things, I work with plants and I work with the astros and I work with the ancestors. So I get guided from different directions. So you are kind of like a medicine person. So you become the medicine. So when your patient come to you, they feel good just by coming to you. You see? So that's what's the next revolution is, the next phase, the evolve of how patients get seen by you. Okay? Thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you so much. I am grateful that I'm able to give you this message, because that message that is for you is also for me, as I received it too. I'm sharing it with you. You see that? That's the circle of life. For any of you have had kids, the Lion King was showing you, this is the circle of life. You see, the circle of life. I give to you and you give to others. I love you. Thank you. Ciao. I would like to say this just because they said it. Disconnecting.